Hello, World of Tanks Blitzers. It's a Littlefinger, and yes, we're doing a review here on the SP1C, arguably the worst tank at Tier 7. This is a German light tank. If you're liking the content, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow along with the channel as we grow. So, update 7.1 just came out. Um, and as you are aware, we've got coronavirus, we've got bubonic plague, the world is in freefall, and I'm focusing on Ace Mastery games. And this is a tank I had not mastered, so I played 30 games in it yesterday, finally got that mastery. And the reason I played it is because it recently got a slight buff to the damage per minute. But let's talk about this tank and why I think it's one of the worst tanks. Obviously, you've got no armor. It's one of the slowest tanks of the Tier 7 light tanks. And, it's just a big, giant HE magnet. So as far as equipment goes, I'm running improved vents, improved modules, helping out that damage from getting rammed, improved optics, so our view range is right at 300. Supercharge, again, another downfall of this tank I'll talk about in a second. Improved assembly, we have no armor, so we're going to get a 60 additional hit points. Engine accelerator, vertical stabilizer. I find myself moving and shooting all the time in this tank, so going to go with that because we're always on the move. We don't want to slow down in this tank. Toolbox and consumable delivery system. Just real quick on the ammo, 22, 12, and 6, keeping it in increments of 2 because we have an auto loader, and buying those premium heat with credits. Provisions, running chocolate protective kit, again because we've got no armor. Damage to our crew is going to happen, and then improved fuel. Consumables fairly standard for me with the engine power boost because we have the autoloader. And one of the things I found interesting with this tank, the top gun here is an autoloader, 2 shots, 3 seconds between those shots with a full 10-second reload time. The Tier 7 90mm gun below this is a single loading gun, and the stats are almost identical, but for some reason when you mount this, you still have vents. Now, I don't know if that's because I've already unlocked the autoloader and now it's stuck on vents. It would be interesting to know if you guys are grinding this, if you've got a gun rammer in the equipment until you get to this Tier 7, because you could probably get that DPM up without sacrificing too much on any of your other gun stats. So again, 160 pen on your average AP, 200 for heat, and 45, which is not bad. You will get to use some HE from time to time facing other light tanks, doing 225 damage, which is one of the highest for the Tier 7 light tanks. Just real quick, let's run through Blitz stars. I've got the Tier 7 lights pulled up. The DPM number here is just over 2,000, bringing this in line closer to the other ones, but you're still towards the bottom. You do have higher pen and alpha, but the main problem with this tank is the shell velocity. Look at this, 55, 93% different. It makes this tank near impossible to be a backline sniper tank because your shell velocity is so slow. Thus, the supercharge is absolutely mandatory on this tank. Weapon handling, it's right in line with all of these other tanks. However, you do have the worst dispersion because you have a bigger gun. You do have 10 degrees of gun depression, which is good. Another downside to this tank, and why I think it's one of the worst at the tier, is you've only got 58 kilometers per hour. And I say only, I mean, it's a light tank. You've got to get into and out of positions. But when you compare it to the other lights at the tier, it's just so much slower. It feels so much slower. It doesn't accelerate fast. And on top of that, you've got this crappy credit coefficient as well. And it's difficult to make any money in it. And look at the armor. I mean, none of these tanks have armor, but if if someone doesn't shoot HE at you, they don't know how to play this game. You've got 15 on the turret and 10 everywhere else. Alright guys, so as I said earlier, this was one of the tanks that I did not previously have an ace mastery in, and so I ended up playing 29 battles in it yesterday, finally getting that ace. This is not not that ace, but it is on the new Yukon map, and so I thought you guys would, if you haven't seen it or been able to play this new map, there's a good bit of driving here, and actually we stay away from the falls, which is probably the most unique feature on this map. Note here as we push into C is actually pretty open where I'm facing to the heavies on their spawn. If they push up through B and into those buildings there, they can get some pretty early shots in there, which I wasn't aware of. But again, you'll notice the speed here. Once you get up to a top speed, it does move nicely. It turns fairly good. The downside, and you'll see it in this game, the turret turning speed is pretty slow. And so that makes brawling and getting into aggressive situations rather challenging in this tank. And as you can see, I'm trying to get this ace mastery game all day long, and obviously getting the cap points really does help out, on top of making sure you have a high damage, high kill game. So wanted to make sure I got those caps early, and we shoot HE into the back of this AMX for a nice 290 roll. So IS has spotted us, and he is going to just full on charge. And so I'm waiting for him to get to a point where, he's going around the building, and then I'm going to make my escape route. But I just drive too far, and this is a mistake on my part because he's able to turn and get a shot into me. And here's that example of the turret just not turning as fast as I wanted it to. And we missed that first shot of 2. And you can see I've taken some big shots, and we're down very low health. And this is a very common situation that I found myself in while driving this tank, and perhaps maybe I was just a little bit too aggressive in it, but getting spots really helps, and getting damage assistance. So you can't, and you're a light tank, that's your job. So again, to my point, if you skipped over, some of the other stuff earlier, supercharge is an absolute must. The shell velocity on these shots is just too low to be a sniper. And you can see that was a rather quick game. We capped it out. There was still one tank alive. But we did 1,500 damage in there. It wasn't great, but certainly respectable being bottom tier. So jumping quickly into the second game here in Alpinestad, and you can again see bottom tier. Yeah, we're only 2 tier 7s here. Some big heavies there, IS-5, IS-6. You will have trouble penning those, especially with the update. The IS-6 got some enhanced armor there. So again, what you will see, my play style in this tank is pull up to an aggressive spotting position. Try to get some spots in early. Hopefully the team can do damage, and I'm benefiting from that without even doing damage myself. So there you see damage assistance 205, because I'm the only one that can spot those tanks on that corner right now. Once other people are spotting them, then I don't get that damage assistance. And so pulling down the river, nope, no one's coming there. It's just one of those games I've only seen a couple tanks down here, so I'm not going to rush in, because we've only got 3 tanks spotted there by the windmill, and the IS-8 in town. And I tell you, part of the reason, and there's the big red. So switch over to heat, we get a shot in. Obviously, with an autoloader, you have to manage when to reload. It's very critical for you to be able to maximize your damage. So we are going to reload, put a new clip out, And we see that RHM switch over to HE. And just look at how slow that shell is. It's like, oh my god, if you try hitting anything on the move. There's the Black Prince. There's all of their tanks. The IS-5 is all by himself. And so we'll get a shot into the backside. If I'd have known I was going to get his backside, I would have switched back to AP. But I thought he'd be looking at us. And since he's driving away, I'm going to rush him and finish him off. And part of the reason I added this game, to be honest, is because I love his rage comments at the end here. So just a drive-by shooting. And we'll head on back to the rest of their team. And the IS-5 says, man, F you. You know, and this is another one of those rather lopsided games. Looking to see, you can take your YouTube footage and stick it up your rear end. Yes, I love it. What a great comment. So we're just going to come in here and do some cleanup. One shot. Two shots. We do take one there. Was hoping to come back and be able to jump on the Black Prince, but he just manages to drive away. And again, two more shots. It's nice having that 240 as your average damage. And we're going to finish this game here on 2k damage. But I love the commentary. That was a lot of fun. Alright, so the third and final dead rail here, and this is the Ace Mastery that took me 29 games to get today. Quite honestly, the first one I played was 2,200 damage and 3 kills, and I had a cap for the entire game, and I was just over 1,000 EXP, and I thought that would do it. But that was only a level 1. I had at least one other level 1 where I thought I had done it. But this is the one that I finally got it in, and so now I can finally retire this damn tank. But anyway, we're going to push up onto C. You know, I am again bottom tier, so we are playing this a little bit more cautiously as a light tank. And here comes Panther. He's focused on the other guy. And they've, for some reason, looked like most of them have gone into the middle. And the T-71, as soon as I saw him, I said I'm going to reload and get around and do some damage. Mike could have switched over to HE here, but you know, with a tank like his that's so low profile, chances of hitting tracks are much higher. So we'll just go, and we know we can finish him off with 2 more shots. And I'll trade 1 shot for 4 and a kill any day of the week. Panther's looking at us. He gets distracted, and so we can't pen the front of the Panther, so we had to shoot the side and wait for him to turn just enough. And this is what I'm talking about here. I'll get 1 more into the M6, and now it's trying to rush out of here because they're all pushing me. And this tank just does not accelerate like an LTTB or the T-71. I do get extremely lucky there to bounce that 400. And you gotta love our TD sitting in the back corner when all of the action's going on the other side of the map. But if it allows me to get some extra damage, shooting the side cheek, we get the kill there. And so we're doing, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I've got 3 kills. If I can get 1 or 2 more kills, I should have this one in the bag. And luckily here, we've got an AFK Progetto. And because we are up 3 tanks at this point, I'm okay just taking these shots on him. If we hadn't been up at this point in time, I would have gone back and fought with the rest of my team. But unfortunately here, someone else can shoot him, so I try to drive in front so no one else can. But I lose out on the kill there, so Not much left. We got the T-44 who's now out of the game, so I'm at 2,600 damage, and I'm just hoping to get in there, get a shot or two in. And we've got that big old IS-3 Heavy. You'll see how much red there is on the front of this thing here in a second. So we're going to use our speed, obviously, and get beside him. We're not penning any of that. And, of course, we are aiming just below that spaced armor, right towards the tracks there. And 2 more shots in pushes us over the 3K mark. And even without getting any cap points in the Supremacy game, there is the ace that I've been looking for, and we are now 1 tank closer to getting them all done. Still have a long way to go, though. But again, you know, it can be a fun tank if you can keep it moving. It just does not accelerate well. It doesn't do well as a sniper because you have such low shell velocity, and so it's a very limited in what you can do. Plus, you have to worry about all of the big derp guns out there, smashers and SUs and ISUs and KV2s, and one mistake from them and you can lose your entire game. So very difficult tank to play in that regard. But as we exit out here, hope you learned a few things on that SP1C playstyle and that you have hit that subscribe button. And of course, guys, have fun out there, stay safe, get educated, and not fingered. Littlefinger out.